And now, another episode of MMA Gossip with your boys.
Boom. We're live, baby. MMA Gossip, episode number 71. 71 deep. That's crazy, boys. But we're back in your life, guys. Again, I say it every week. I'm going to say it again this week. The MMA world never, ever sleeps. We have friggin' Anderson Silva boxing, Ariel Helwani making the jump from ESPN back to MMA fighting, turn back the clock. He's got a lot more ventures going on, it looks like. Fighter pay being discussed and announced. Obviously, the pay-per-view had just happened. UFC cards have happened since. Bellator's back this week with a interim heavyweight belt, which is Chrissy Bellator. I don't even know what to make of this Bellator card. It's not one of the better ones. Let's put it that way. I've been seeing a lot of hype, though, for McKee versus Pitbull, which you love to fucking see. That's going to be the best Bellator fight ever. I am so fucking pumped for it. Less than 3 weeks before McGregor-Poirier trilogy fight. I'm going crazy. That's going to sneak up on us. TJ Dillashaw, Corey Sandhagen's creeping up on us, creeping up on me especially. We got Volkov and Gane going at it this week. And more. Kayla Harrison is minus 5,000. I just found that out about 1 minute ago from Matt. That is insane. I cannot believe that. We're going to get into that and much more on this episode. So do us all a favor. If you're still listening, please like, comment, and subscribe. And shout out to the boys at the bar this weekend. Me and Jackson were out in North Wildwood, and some kid just came up to me, and we were like talking shit kind of back and forth. But like, I was like, it was so unnecessary. Like the way he just came to me for no fucking reason. And Jackson like saw it too, you know? So we were just like talking shit back and forth. And then like a second later, he just like tries to dap me up. So I'm like, all right. Like, you know what I mean? So we dap each other up. He ended up being mad fucking cool. He calls over like two of his boys, and we ended up drinking beers with him and his boys. We got into his legs were all cut up and shit. Like his knees were scraped. And he says he wrestles a lot. And we started talking about wrestling. And then Jackson always loves, puts his arm around me. He's like, my buddy's got a podcast. And then right there at the bar, they all pulled up MMA Gossip on their phone, and all three of them subscribed to the podcast.
Fucking dope.
Shout out to the boys. His name is Sam, funny enough. But yeah, so shout out to those boys, and shout out to you guys for following along. So just like Sam did, help us out. Like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into it. Mike is giving me the one. So Matt, did you watch oh, Mike's back. I was going to say, Rory McDonald, right off the rip, got robbed by Gleison Tebow. Robbed, right? I think they're going to go I guess they're planning some sort of rematch. I'm not really sure how it's going to work with the PFL rules and the whole tournament. But Gleison said already he like wants to knock him out in the rematch, and I'm sure Rory would be kin to having a rematch. So
yeah, you can make the argument it was 30-27 across the board, 29-28 at the very worst. So one of the worst robberies we've seen in a long time. Granted, the line shouldn't have been minus 1,000, but it was a robbery nonetheless. Real quick before we go on, I want to give a shout out to my brother for making this dope ass plaque.
Yeah, I think it's so fucking sweet.
He made it in fucking Woods class. He just graduated from high school, and he said he worked on it for like the majority of the year with Justin Townsend.
Walk us through the whole thing, Mike. Walk us through it, because I want them to see the craftsmanship of that thing.
All right, so obviously it says my name at the top, Mike. And these look like baseball bats, but he told me it wasn't his intention to make them look like baseball bats. That's just how the design came out. And actually, it has our handle on either side at MMA X Gossip on both sides. And then obviously this is made out of laser. He said he had to like input our logo, and then it did like a laser did it for him.
It's fucking sweet.
So wild.
And then, just normal plaque shit at the top, normal plaque shit at the bottom. And I'm going to hang that shit up. I'm going to put screws in these little holes up here.
Do you have a plan? Are you going to lay anything on it?
I don't know. I was thinking about like maybe if I sand it down, maybe I could stain it or paint it like a nice color. But I
meant like on the bottom, you could like put shit on it. Like
it's got a ledge. Yep, nice ledge. Maybe I put a couple.
Bobbleheads or something, beer glasses,
a graveyard or something. Yeah, so pumped about that.
That's so sweet, dude.
Yeah, we got fans, we got love, we got support, and from all angles, man. We're still coming strong.
Absolutely, bro.
All right, we got a lot to talk about today, but let's quickly talk about the resurgence of Korean Zombie, man. I'm so pumped. I was so ecstatic to see him win. And as we said on the podcast, Dan Ige is just okay. And Korean Zombie is still, at 34 years old, elite. Any thoughts on this before we move on, guys?
I'm happy that we all fucking were on the right side of an underdog for once, right? Because every time that happens, even though he wasn't in all of our picks, that person usually doesn't ever fight again and probably dies. But yeah, it was great to see him back. I'm pumped to see what's next for him. I'm sure he's going to get somebody in the tippy top now. Like that was just hey, let's make sure he's still really fucking good and have him beat up on Dan Ige type of fight. Like just making sure that that Ortega fight was some kind of weird fluke. Not to say that Ortega would have beat him again, but I don't think it'd be a 50-45 straight across the board decision. Nonetheless, pumped to see him back. And yeah, I'm very upset I didn't bet on it.
I love the Holloway call out after the fact too, because Holloway obviously had to pull out of his fight. And I don't know what they're going to do with Yair. I know what Giga said that he got offered the fight and accepted, but hasn't heard back yet.
That'd be a sick fight.
I'm not really sure. Yeah, I don't really know what to make of that. But Max Holloway and Korean Zombie would be fucking sweet. I would definitely favor Holloway in that matchup, but that'd be a sweet matchup. And obviously Volk and Ortega aren't fighting until the fall. So, you know, Korean Zombie just fought. I know he said his shoulder popped out, but it went right back in. I know that you can recover from that super easily. But if he's healthy and Max wants it, it's lining up in the fall, you know, maybe a month apart from the Ortega and Volkanovski fight. Obviously, because Volkanovski's have to do that whole quarantine bullshit and everything. So by the time they both get back into training, probably be right about the same time and roll into a fucking potential trilogy or a rematch. Because if Ortega was to win, he already has that loss to Holloway that I'm sure he wants to avenge. So it's like tailor-made.
Absolutely. All right. So I didn't talk about this before the podcast with you guys, but I want to get you guys' opinions. We said on the air. So Sean Strickland posted that video with Orlando Sanchez. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And based on the video, they were just grappling, standing up, kind of digging for underhooks and whatnot. And then Orlando goes for a very dirty, he clinches his elbow like a chicken wing down while Strickland's arm is in there, and then tweaks his arm. And it's a dirty move, man. You can really fuck up your shoulder that way. You can fuck up your elbow that way. And it was very dirty. I don't think anybody can argue that. And then out of retaliation, Sean Strickland goes for a spinning back fist. It lands. It doesn't land flush, so he's okay. But they argued for the next, I don't know, several minutes. What do you guys make of that video? Plus the retaliation video of Sean Strickland just posted talking about how
freaking out
how he's going to slap you in front of your children if you talk shit to his face. Like, what do you guys think of the entirety of the situation? And what do you guys think about it in general? Go ahead.
It sounds fucked up. I'm going to talk shit about Sean Strickland after he just said, don't talk shit about me. But like, if there was one fighter, not one, because you can say this about a lot of guys, where this situation would be a lot more interesting if the guy was more of a badass. Like, it's Sean Strickland. Like, I don't really care about it enough. Like, it's Sean Strickland. But what our Sanchez did was pretty fucking dirty. I don't think Strickland overreacted until he went on this rant today. It's clearly on Twitter way too long at night now. Probably just scrolling through hate mail at 2:00 in the morning, and he woke up this morning and probably had enough. But again, like I said, it's Sean Strickland. Dick move. He's got a fight coming up. You never want to do that to your I don't know if they're teammates or he was just there helping him out, but regardless, fucked up move by Sanchez, but Strickland needs to relax and not beat kids up in front of their parents.
So at WNO, who's number one, the Flow Grappling, they put on like those tournaments every weekend. I'm obsessed with them. Flow Grappling.
They're so good.
Like my new favorite thing. Like watching Flow Grappling, especially who's number one, is my favorite. Like I honestly like watching those jiu-jitsu matches more than the fights as of recently. Like I'm loving it, and the stories and the back and forth and the build up and the these competitors coming up. I think jiu-jitsu is just like on a fucking rocket ship ready to take off, and I love it. And anyway, they caught up with Orlando Sanchez there, being that he's an ADCC champion, and he basically gave a little backstory. He was like a 15, 20-minute long interview. I obviously watched the whole thing because, I love the behind-the-scenes stuff. And he said that before that, Strickland was talking shit because they're not training partners. They're not affiliated. They didn't even really know each other at all. Before that, it was Perillo's birthday, so he was just in a good mood. Said a couple of people were throwing back some shots, just having a good time in the gym. Not Strickland or him because they're both training. Excuse me. But he said that Strickland basically was like jiu-jitsu world champ, like just making fun of Orlando. So Orlando's like, obviously I'm going to go in there and show him like, okay, this is jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? And he's like, this is grappling. And in grappling, it's like, fair, all's fair in love and war, especially like tournament grappling. That's totally fair. You know what I mean? So he used it, and Strickland even said in the video, like he should have seen it coming, maybe he shouldn't. But I got from both of them, like Sean basically says, like, if you're not a cool dude like Orlando, I would probably beat you up. And Orlando said the same thing. Orlando's like, dude, I've been in the gym forever. He threw the spinning back fist. I got my hand up, I blocked it. The kick was unnecessary, and it went no further than that. We argued for a couple of minutes, and then we chopped it up after. And he's like, the internet made it way more of a thing than it was, basically. So respect to both of them, I guess. Neither one of them really give a fuck at all. I'm sure they're both pumped about the clout they're getting from it. And Orlando Sanchez, who's been out with injury for a while, he competed against Nicky Rod in ADCC when Nicky basically blew up as a blue belt and made the gigantic name for himself. And that's the last time he's really competed in a major tournament, due to injuries. So he's back. So I think him coming back, and he said he's going to compete at Who's Number One soon, end of the summer maybe. Using that video is only going to promote his matches more. So good for him. And Strickland, coming up to his fight, I'm sure it's only going to promote him.
Oh, Matt, you're muted.
I went down a rabbit hole, probably like Strickland did on, I forget what media outlet I first saw the video on, but I just got sucked into scrolling through the comments, and the amount of people that just were trying to argue jujitsu tactics and argue it was dick, it wasn't dick, that you're talking about, I'll beat your dad up, just like the internet trolls. It's like, dude, you guys have nothing fucking better to do. And I would pay money to see what all of you look like. You probably watched Eddie Bravo explain chemtrails while doing a heel hook, and you think you know jujitsu. I don't know, man. The internet can be a dark place sometimes. When you go to controversial topics and you really start scrolling, you realize how fucking wacky some people are.
I hate getting caught up in the scrolling too, man.
It's just who's arguing with what? Oh, this guy's like this guy's like that. It's just and then you're reading sub comments on somebody. It's holy shit.
Yeah. No, my whole take on the situation was it was a dirty move because they were kind of just fucking around in the gym, and it was just the torque that he had on his elbow was pretty vicious, and that's what I took away from it. But then on the other hand, Sean Strickland is a full-blown psychopath. We've known this for, since his debut. He's a psycho. So it's one of those things where it's oh, Diego Sanchez says what? Well, yeah, he said what? He's a fucking weirdo. And then it's oh, Sean Strickland did or said what? Well, yeah, it's Sean Strickland. He's a fucking psychopath. So that's kind of what I chalked it up to. Good for both guys getting clout, but yeah, excited to see them both compete, and he's going to knock the fuck out of Uriah Hall. I can't wait.
Yeah, fuck Uriah Hall.
Yo,
guys, unfortunately I got to jump. I have an interview in a minute. I'm going to try to speed through it somehow and pop back in. But if you're not here, then...
tactic during the interview.
What?
So that's always a good tactic during an interview.
I mean, I like I said, I'm probably not taking this job anyway. So I don't want to cancel. I'm going to show face and see what's up.
All right.
Good luck.
Right. Peace, guys.
Yep.
And then number two.
All right, then number two. Chris. So Ariel Helwani was teasing us for about 11 days what he was going to do post ESPN. Finally comes out and said he's joining SB Nation. He's going back to MMA fighting, going back to his home where he, originally established himself, and he seemed excited about it. So, Chris, do you know exactly why he decided to split ways with ESPN?
I mean, yeah, I'm not his agent, but ESPN's been cutting a lot of people. I think it was Kenny Mayne, was it recently? Somewhat a couple long time ESPN reporters and commentators and guys and hosts of the shows have been getting not cut, but been asked to take gigantic pay cuts, and are no. Ariel's wasn't that big, I've heard. I think his was only maybe 5%, but why would Ariel take a pay cut? UFC's on the rise. His show, they have the number one MMA show on YouTube. Why would you take a pay cut when you're at the top, So I guess that's the way he's looking at it. And I personally feel anywhere Ariel goes, even though, we have our shit to say about Ariel, he is the best in the business, And I think this is only going to create more opportunities for him, because now he's going to be talking about boxing and this and that. And at ESPN, even though they're UFC now is signed with them, PFL signed with them, I don't really watch ESPN for MMA news, as crazy as that is, right? I know Mark Raimondi and Brett Okamoto and great guys are there, but then I have assholes like Stephen A. Smith and these guys on ESPN that I don't even personally know their names because they're not MMA reporters. They're, UFC George Masvidal. I'm like, dude, I can't watch this shit because they have no idea. They're reading off a fucking screen. They have no idea what they're talking about. They can't talk on it. Stephen A. Smith is like promoting Clarissa Shields. Like that's like what their MMA coverage is. Like, no one's there for that. I want to know what prospect is fighting what prospect on the prelims. You know what I mean? Like that's what I fucking care about. Maybe that's just me. But anyway, Ariel's going to ESPN, leaving ESPN, headed to SB Nation, who owns MMA fighting. I guess it's Vox Media, I'm pretty sure. I know he's going to be doing some work with BT Sport over those guys in Europe and Canada and whatnot. And it seems like he's going to be writing for smaller companies too. So I think that's what Ariel wants to do. He's probably getting paid hugely because I know at ESPN, he's making like $500,000 a year. So, and right, deservedly so. I think fucking Stephen A makes like over $5 million a year to just spew nonsense. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, dude. So I'm happy for Ariel. I'm hoping he gets the MMA hours back, which I'm pumped about. I really missed that when he went to ESPN. That was really fucking missing.
So I got a question about the MMA hour. Is it going to go back to the original format where he has? We don't know yet. Where he has a fighter on, he talks to them for like 30 to 40 minutes, and then
I don't think it's going to be that. I think he'll have more select guests, like maybe like 2 or 3, and talk to them.
I remember when he initially moved to ESPN and started doing, whatever he was doing at ESPN. He talked about how stressful it was. It was to have, get the fighters to sign up for a certain time and make sure that connection was good.
I can only imagine.
Right. So like, I wonder if he's going to go back to the stressful life that it was, but we loved it because it was a 3 to 4 hour show with all the best fighters with fights on the horizon or previously just fought. So it was the best show. And I got to say, I missed it dearly. Like DC and Helwani was great, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. So yeah, props to him. As much as we kind of rip on him for this, that, and the other thing,
he's the best in the biz.
If you're listening, you probably know what we rip on him for, but Chris is the OG lover for Ariel. I hopped on board soon after, wishing the absolute best for him. I can't wait to see what he does for the MMA. I listened to the 2-minute podcast he just released. I subscribed to MMA Hour, so I'm pumped about it.
I have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Props to him.
Yeah. Props to him.
Get that money.
You have any thoughts on Anderson Silva's bout over the weekend? You probably know more about it than I do because you're more boxing savvy.
I mean, dude, that was a big win. That's a big win for the MMA world in general, a big win for Anderson. I just feel like the boxing match that was always made to be was Anderson versus Roy Jones Jr. That was the one that was always talked about. Roy Jones ended up doing the Mike Tyson thing and then went down that route. But Anderson Silva really is like the MMA GOAT, right? You want to see if that style could cross over into boxing. And it really did well. He did his usual taunting. Chavez Jr. looked like he couldn't really catch up. I felt like at no point was the fight super close. And Anderson cruised, honestly, to a decision. He cruised to a decision. He hurt Chavez a couple times. And for one of the commentators to say that it was a rob, like he was basically like upset that only one judge gave it to Chavez. But that's because boxing can't accept these MMA crossovers, but it's good. It's definitely a win for boxing. Like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is fucking good, dude. He's a great boxer. I mean, he's older now, but still he's I think he's 35 or 36 compared to Anderson, who's 46? How old is Anderson Silva? 46 years old?
I think he's at least 46, at least.
That's what I'm saying, bro. So that's a win. Anderson's honestly still kind of got it. So good for him. Makes that money. It was a good win for fucking MMA. I put it that way. But, I think Anderson he has professional boxing experience in his past and he's won before. So I don't think that was that shocking. His style kind of transfers over well. And not too much else about it. It was just it really was a big deal. And I don't think how people understood how big of a deal it was.
Yeah, it's cool to see it from the other lens, usually it's MMA fighters going to boxing and looking rather poorly and vice versa. And we're looking good, All right, yo. So we got one. I know it's not the best cards, but we got a shitty PFL card. We got a shitty Bellator card. And we got a shitty UFC card. But the best news is on the horizon is July 10th, which is absolutely, going to have an anxious leading up to this. So, Chris, I know we don't want to sit here and just talk about fucking, the these shit fights like Kenny and Sejuku and Jeremiah Wells and Julia Vila and Marcin Prachnio, but any fights really jump off the page at you other than the Cyril Gane and Volkov fight? Because I'm actually pretty stoked about that one.
Is your take on this? If Gane went, like, all right, it's pretty, basically the news came out today. You saw that Ngannou was fighting Derek Lewis. They're trying to get it for August 7th. Scheduling conflicts didn't work out, so maybe they're looking a little later in the month, maybe September. That aside, if Gane wins, he's got to fight the winner of that fight, right? As long as John Jones isn't around, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I have this thought in the back of my head that I think the UFC wants Gane to win here. I think they got something special with him, because he's well-rounded. He moves around like a lightweight at heavyweight, the way he looks, the way he talks, So I would assume that they were trying to push him and put him in winnable matches. I know that's like not what, obviously UFC has an agenda and they want fighters to win certain matchups so they can push them in the future. But I think this is Cyril Gane's fight to lose. I think this is another thing. I watch the betting lines a lot. I read into the betting lines a lot. So it's like everybody seems to be on Volkov, but the line seems to keep widening with Cyril Gane being the favorite, which leads me to believe like the sharp people or like the people at the books really, really do think that Cyril Gane is going to win. I only have 2 bets for this event, and one of them is on Cyril Gane. So I'm really invested in him. I know he's not experienced at all at 8-0 compared to Volkov, who's got like 40 plus fights. But I just think he's a different breed, man. I think that he has what it takes. I know Matt was ripping on me in the chat, but I think he's got what it takes to get to the top.
I think so too, dude. And I think they are trying to push him, get him over here with Alexander Volkov, but also at the time test him because Volkov is battle tested, ex-Bellator champion. Came in, remember, he put fucking Verdun's lights out. He's beaten Overeem recently. He beat Walt Harris recently. Who did he lose to? Oh, I think he lost to Curtis Blades before that, but he turned it on.
His last second knockout loss to Derek Lewis.
Oh, that was recent. Well, no, I think that was before Curtis Blades.
Yeah, it was before. You're right.
Yeah, but he's beaten some good, good people lately. He was beating Curtis Blades. Oh, excuse me, he was losing to Curtis Blades the whole fight, and then turned it on when Curtis Blades' gas tank seemed to fail. Volkov was still there, so he's definitely fucking battle tested. Definitely not someone to look past. But I think stylistically, Gane has the edge here, right? He's going to want to keep it standing, and Volkov's going to want to keep it standing, and he should be better on the feet. So I see Gane winning here. The noticeable matchups. Tanner Boser, who I was all over during quarantine, I'm just totally over now. Fighting OSP, who I've been over for a while, but Tanner Boser taking this on short notice. Dude, I don't know what to make of this fight. Tanner Boser taking it on short notice or OSP at heavyweight.
If you're gonna ask me who I think is gonna win, I'll pick. Dude, I don't fucking know, bro. I have no idea. But like when it comes down to I don't know, if you think it's a 50-50 fight, I'm just gonna roll with the underdog and pick OSP.
Dude, he's the underdog.
Plus 140.
I would 100% take OSP as an underdog.
Yeah.
And Hani Barcelos versus Timur Valiev, that's probably the best fight on the card.
Great fight.
Right? Do you agree?
Yeah.
I think that's the best fight on the card.
Banger of a fight, yeah. And
Who's not winning that one?
It looks like Dana White's trying to get his boy Charles Rosa a win over Justin James, even though they're both atrocious. And that's about it.
Coming to the UFC and spark, like, didn't he spark someone or did he get sparked?
Justin James came to the UFC and sparked Frank Camacho. Yeah, he was a plus.
That sucks. I love Frank Camacho, dude.
I know, he's our boy, and he keeps God bless him. He's in that car accident. He's okay, but I don't know. He's got to get back in that cage and get a couple wins, man, because he's definitely on the chopping block.
For sure, dude. Feely and Pineda. I know Pineda's like your favorite fighter. I think Feely's gonna win that fight, though.
I only liked Pineda because I picked him against that fraud Herbert Burns.
Yep.
And then he went out there against Cub Swanson and just looked absolutely atrocious. But
speaking of frauds named Herbert, I think that Jai Herbert's gonna get his ass whooped by Renato Moicano.
Yeah, for sure. I think Jai Herbert's a trash can, and if Renato Moicano can just take him down and submit him, stop being a striker, and he'll be fine.
But the clash of old veterans, Tim Means and Nicholas Dalby, winning fights they shouldn't win.
I'm a big Means fan. I'm rooting for him, but I don't know who's going to win this fight.
Yeah.
I got 2 bets. Like I said, I got Gane, and my other one, I parlayed Shavkat Rakhmonov with Korean Zombie last week, so that's going to be my cash. Hopefully that wins.
Opener, Yancey and Hadzovic.
I'm rooting for Yancey, and I think he has.
So am
Hadzovic is a constant underperformer.
I agree. And Yancey isn't also a constant underperformer, but he like overperforms sometimes. Every once in a blue moon.
Yeah, he's one of those fighters that shows up when he's supposed to lose and then loses.
I wouldn't bet on this fight though.
Absolutely not. No, this is not a betting week at all for me, really. Just throw Gane, really. I'm excited for that one.
What about what do you got for us for PFL? I know fucking Kayla Harrison's minus 5,000, which is bananas, but
yeah, so like I said, if PFL, if I told you PFL has an event and it's only heavyweights and 155-pound women, would you know any of them? Probably not.
Yeah.
But PFL's heavily invested in Kayla Harrison now going against Cindy Dandois, arguably the worst stand-up in the history of mixed martial arts. So what do you think is going to happen? He's a minus 5,000. Anthony Pettis returns going up against Roush Monfio. I don't know much about him, but I hear that he's a decent prospect coming out of Titan FC.
he is.
Yeah, he was on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil season, like way back in the day, and lost. Never really panned out there. But I mean, like at this point, Anthony Pettis, get your shit together, man. I know you're trying to make some money before you sail off in the sunset. But that performance was absolutely atrocious last time out against who's that boxer?
Clay Collard.
Yeah, Clay Collard. So, and then everything else on the card is pretty weak. You got Klidson Abreu coming, UFC vet, Caitlin Young, UFC vet, Renan Ferreira with that, he had that controversial win over Fabrício Verdun where he did the old Brazilian tap, but the referee didn't see it, kind of thing. Jenna Fabia, that girl from New Zealand who's got like a crazy kickboxing record, is fighting. Just a lot of like specialists, I would call them, but that kind of just suck at mixed martial arts because
we'll be watching.
I will 100% be on my couch watching this. And then Chris, I know Bellator's weak, but you want to touch upon that?
Yes, I will. So Bellator,
yes,
because you know me, dude. Chrissy Bellator, I'm stoked for. The next two Bellators can be pretty sick. Bellator 262 and 263, obviously 263 being the key. Anyways, this week Bellator is back on the 25th, right? Friday the 25th. Back at home, baby. Uncasville, Connecticut, Mohegan Sun Arena. It's going to be the interim heavyweight championship, which is somehow Timothy Johnson finds himself in it, taking on Valentin Madovsky. I would absolutely love to know what the lines are on this fight because it's just.
Ooh, I think they just released them now. So if you want to ask me as you say them.
Let's see. I'm looking right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where is it? I don't see it. But basically, Timothy Johnson is. If you find it, let me know. But Timothy
Plus
Johnson.
225.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I was going to say, is over the hill and just, a UFC vet, came to Bellator and somewhat overperformed and finds himself in this title shot versus Valentin Madovsky, who it's just weird. I think he's 10-0, and he's got like one knockout and two submissions or something. So he's like a decisionator heavyweight, which is kind of bizarre. Heavy favorite, apparently, coming in against Timothy Johnson for like I said, the interim heavyweight belt because Bader moved on in the light heavyweight Grand Prix, so the interim heavyweight belt is now on the line. Then we got women's flyweight Liz Carmouche taking on Kana Watanabe, and Bellator likes her a lot, but I'm pretty sure she's gonna lose. You have the lines up for this one?
So Ken Watanabe is plus 175.
There you go. Just like I said, I'm expecting her to lose, even though I feel like they would want her to win. They're still trying to put over Liz Carmouche, I guess, from the Strikeforce days. I don't know. Then Daniel Weichel taking on Keone Diggs. That's a pretty sweet fight. Like, Daniel Weichel is just another one of those fucking absolute Bellator staples. He's getting a little older now. He's like 36, 37 years old, coming off the loss to Emmanuel Sanchez. Prior to that, he had beat your favorite fighter, Sal Rogers. And yeah. It's just one of those Bellator staple fights. Below this, another Bellator staple, Sydney Outlaw taking on Miles Jury, which is a fun fight. This is going to be a close fight. Sydney Outlaw, I think, is just bigger, I guess. But Miles Jury, was kind of like a failed UFC prospect. Like he was a super UFC prospect until Cowboy Cerrone kind of did him dirty and a couple others. I actually like Jury in this fight. Do you have a line on it?
Yeah, he's a plus 115.
Plus, okay, so close.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say I like him in this fight too.
yeah, I really do like him in this fight. Then light heavyweight Christian Edwards taking on Simon Beyond, couldn't care less. Sorenbach, a lot, and then honestly, it just drops off after that. Nothing too crazy on this Bellator card. I know someone on this card. I'm trying to think who it was. Oh, I think it was John Macapa. He used to fight. He was on the Ultimate Fighter, so just maybe a familiar face to some fans out there. But other than that, nothing to write home about on this Bellator card. I think they're kind of holding out for the next 2 weeks. Another couple more belts on the line, obviously. Linton Vassell will be back. Well, I'm personally just a big fan of Matt Mitrione will be coming back. I think he's fighting Tyrell Fortune, so another Bellator fucking absolute staple. And then followed up by, to close out the month, McKee and Pitbull. And I feel like they're going to build that card like pretty big. I'm looking right now. Mads Burnell is on it against Emmanuel Sanchez. Usman Nurmagomedov. Brett Primus is back. Kiefer Crosby's back. So a lot of other Bellator staples coming back. And that card, I think they're going to build that up to a pretty sweet fucking card.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. Like the UFC, I think, is going to be outgunned that weekend for sure.
Yeah. July 30th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait. They couldn't come soon enough. I don't know why this just popped in my head, but did you see Marlon Vera's performance against Davy Grant last Saturday?
Did you see the picture of Davy Grant after the fight?
Yeah, man. I mean, we're huge fans of Marlon Vera, and I think this is my bias speaking. But do you think that he has, top 5 upside? Do you think he can because he's still so young and he grew up in the UFC, and maybe I'm just like high hopes, because he always seems to lose the first round.
I do think so, bro. Like he's tough as fuck, right? Who's gonna put him away? I mean, he beat the shit out of Sean O'Malley, so he's definitely got that rub too. So he can. That's always in his back pocket. I guarantee you, if Marlon Vera, wins another fight, they're going to start using that O'Malley as finish as a promo thing, where they were trying to hide it because it's O'Malley. Now, when Marlon Vera starts really making a name for himself, they're going to fucking use that to advertise his fights, basically, compared to fucking, Sean O'Malley, who's now fighting Louis Smolka in a couple weeks. But I really do think he has potential to be up there. He loses fights that he shouldn't. But like you said, he grew up in the UFC, right? Like I remember, he really came on my radar big time when he was losing to Brad Pickett in his retirement fight. And then head kick knocked him out. I'm like, holy fuck, you know what I mean? So he's been around forever, and it seems like he's only getting better. Training at the Ruka gym, I see him mixing up with guys like Michael Bisping and Luke Rockhold and Strickland and Orlando Sanchez and. Just being in that gym is only going to make him better. He's an American now. I know he's fighting for his daughter who had all those health problems. That's been taken care of, and he seems to be making waves in the UFC. He fought Aldo to a close decision, in a fight he could have easily won. I think with a different game plan, he does win that fight. So yeah, I do think he can be top 5 potential for sure. Excellent jiu-jitsu background. The striking's getting way, way fucking better.
Yeah, I'm glad you said all that, man. I'm so pumped. I just think he's such a nice guy, nice family. I just want to see him succeed. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Awesome tattoos.
Awesome tattoos. Best cardio in the game. What do you got any other topics you stirring around your head you want to talk about? Because a
couple things we've been talking about. So fighter pay was one of the things, right? So I just want to touch on this. We can have a deeper discussion, especially because I want to get Matt involved in this one. But MMA Junkie reported the disclosed salaries for UFC 263, which actually did 600,000 pay-per-views. They're saying that, which is fucking sick. So I was giving Israel Adesanya slack before because I didn't think he was as big. He's got the whole New Zealand, Australia, Oceania block basically, on lockdown. So, he's got crazy fans there, and the United States, they really seem to love him. And, hats off to him. He's literally doing the thing and becoming a global superstar. And the UFC knows how to hype him right because, honestly, I got to give him even more credit. I know when he fought Blachowicz, that did more than this one, so it went down. But, it was a champ fight. This is just fighting Marvin Vettori. Like, if he had and I know Paulo Costa, I think, did 700K. So he went 700K, 800K, 600K. But again, Paulo Costa, they had a build up. There was a lot of videos, a lot of trash talk going to the fight. Marvin Vettori just sits there and fucking screams like an idiot. So it's hard to work with, like if he had like a, someone going back and forth with him, like I think Whitaker, they might sell a lot, dude. They could really do a lot of big fucking pay-per-view if Whitaker chooses to talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which it seems like he's already chatting a little bit. Anyway, so 600K pay-per-view buys, keep that in mind, because Adesanya led the paydays with 500K. Marvin Vettori made 350K. Nate Diaz made 250K. Leon Edwards made 220. I'm not sure if that's 110 and 110. So
it is. Yeah, it is.
110. Okay, there you go. Moreno made 200K. Davison Figueiredo made 210K. Maya 175. Bilal Muhammad 160. That's sick.
Good for him.
Paul Craig 110K. This sucks. Jamal Hill 28K with the fucking dislocated elbow. Eric Anders made 150 grand. Lauren Murphy made 140 grand. Just shouting those numbers out there. Anything else? Evloev 72,000. Dawoodu came home with 55K in a loss. And yeah, and it just goes on from there. I mean, guys like, dude, let's put it this way. Does this list the gate? No, it doesn't say the gate. So total purses were $3.23 million on a pay-per-view. They dished out $3 million in just contracts, just salaries to the fighters. That's before bonuses, that's before kickbacks, that's before sponsorships, that's before pay-per-view payments, which that the champion gets, which Izzy's going to get. I'm sure they give Marvin a little bit of a kickback, and I know Nate Diaz said he's getting pay-per-view points as well. So these guys are making, Izzy's making definitely a couple $1 million just for going in there, doing his thing. So these guys like Jake Paul and Triller doing these one-offs. Like Jake Paul fought when? When did Jake Paul fight Ben Askren? Do you know the date? Let's see. Jake Paul, Ben Askren. They're doing these one-offs. That was April 17th. Okay, so that was already over 2 months ago. And Triller hasn't made a single payout since. So Jake Paul is claiming, great. Jake Paul made $10 million, right? That's because no one else on the card made any money. We've seen these disputes go back and forth all the time, where UFC fighter pay this, UFC fighter pay that. When Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz fought under Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions, they made 250 grand each, and I think Deron Wynn made like $10,000. Tom Lawler, $10,000. And they were paying guys on the undercard $1,000 to show, $1,000 to win. That's significantly lower than the UFC minimums, but no one says shit about that. Everyone just loves to bash Dana White because of his political views. So this shit to me is absolute nonsense. The fact that how many 6 or more guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people on the card made over 6 figures. That's insane. You know what I mean? At least 2. Nate Diaz with sponsorships and everything made over a couple $1 million. Izzy made a couple $1 million. I'm sure Marvin Vettori made over $1 million. So these guys are being made millionaires overnight. So that people are saying like they're underpaid. Yeah, I think they should be getting paid $1 million fucking dollars on the undercard. But I think I should be getting $1 million for working my 9 to 5 every motherfucking day. These companies like Triller that are making one payout, say 3-4 times a year. Yeah, it's easy to say, look at us, we're paying our fighter $5 million. Imagine if you did that 41 times a year, like the UFC is doing. So, you know what I mean? It's fucking madness. It's insane.
Can I ask you a question?
This year? You said they did 50 this year?
I'm saying, don't they have a contract to have like at least like 50 events a year?
I think it's 41 or 42 events.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Throughout the year, which is still insane. Every fucking weekend, there's fighters making 6 figures every fucking weekend. I'd love to see what they're paying Gane and Volkov. They get $25,000 more just for going 5 rounds as opposed to 3 instantly.
Let me ask you a question. I see some of the arguments on social media talking about how like other sport organizations like the NFL pay 50% of their revenue goes to their athletes, as opposed to the UFC, where 20% of the UFC's revenue goes to the athletes. Do you think this holds weight? I don't know if this is accurate. I've just seen it multiple times in a couple different social media sites, so I don't know if it's true, but what do you think about that?
I've seen places that a lot of people say it's not accurate and it goes to sponsorship, but it goes to agents and whatnot. So by the time the athletes get it, it's really not as much as they're saying it is. But they also have player organizations, right? Like the MLBPA, the NFLPA, the Players Association. There's an association in general, which the UFC doesn't have. It's like a fucking union. And the UFC, fighters don't have that. No fighting organization has that. And it's different because in those other sports, the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, the NHL, there's one organization that rules everything. People, as well as I do, people confuse UFC with MMA. People are like, oh, are you a UFC fighter? No, the guy in your local gym is an MMA fighter. He fights in mixed martial arts. UFC is just a promotion, right? There's no other promotion. Where else can you go? Like, these guys are getting paid astronomical amounts of money, right? Play these other sports, but there's nowhere else to go. They have a monopoly on it. The UFC, we just said, there's PFL tomorrow. There's Bellator Friday. There's UFC Saturday. One is going on. You can go to all these places and make. The UFC is paying the most still, but there's no organization where they can all come together as one and fight for it. And fighters won't do it because fighting is so different than any other sport. Where if this weekend, Marvin Vettori got the title shot, got paid $350,000. There's a line of 10 guys that if you said, hey, do you want to fight Israel Adesanya this weekend for $250,000? They'd all say yes. So if they almost outbid themselves, the fighters, So I don't know how, but maybe one day. There's been like 4 or 5 attempts to unionize, and they all just fail almost immediately.
Bjorn Rebney,
ex-Bellator CEO, just he came and went. Cain Velasquez, Tim Kennedy, Cowboy, TJ Dillashaw.
ESP.
Big names in the sport showed up, and nothing came of it. So,
can I ask you what do you think the reasoning is behind these failed pursuits? Like, as a group, it's not just
everyone needs to be on the same page, and UFC fighters are the wildest motherfuckers on the planet. It's just everyone needs to be on the same page and come together. But and they need someone big. Like, they would need Conor McGregor to go on strike. Like, Paulo Costa going on strike is not going to do anything for anyone. You know what I mean? Because guess what? They're going to offer Paulo Costa's salary, say $150K to show, to someone else in line, and they're going to take it. So the next person, there's always going to be someone else in line. There's guys out there, like I just saw this past weekend in fucking Gamebred FC, and Jorge Masvidal's bare knuckle MMA promotion, which I fucking watched because I'm a fucking moron. Brock Weaver fought in it and won, and was calling out Dana White, give me my job back, please give me my job back. I'll fight on the next card for free. That's not helping you guys get unionized. You know what I mean? Like, they're their own worst enemy. So it's just funny to me, dude. I want them to make more money, right? I would love for them to make more money. If there was a GoFundMe and fucking Israel Adesanya and Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz and these guys were heading it, I would fucking donate to the GoFundMe. You know what I mean? And get it fucking started. But they're their own worst enemy, and someone's always going to do it for less. Fighting's a dirty business, all as is. And I'm not a lawyer. I have no clue how these guys can unionize, but I fucking hope they do.
Right. Yes. I just want to be clear with the listeners, because it does seem like 85% of Twitter is just like, Dana, you suck. Pay the fighters more. But there's nothing other than them just spewing that. So I just want to let everyone know, yes, we want the fighters to be paid more. We obviously would always I want everybody to be fucking paid more. It's like, we got to be realistic about the situation, man. You're a fucking prospect and you're coming to the UFC and you get a contract. Yeah, you're getting $12,000 a show, and you're going to get $12,000 to win. And that's how it's going to be. And if you keep winning, it'll turn into 14, and then 16, and then 24, and then 48. And then that's just how it works. You know what I'm saying? You got to work your way up the business ladder, right? Get your name out there, talk shit if you need to, and keep winning.
If you don't want 14 and 14 or 12 and 12 the show, then go back to fucking, CFFC, and I'm not bashing them. CFFC is fucking awesome, but these prospects are coming out like CFFC or ROC or all the. Well, I'm just thinking naming North East promotions, but then or Legacy or any Alaskan FC, all these promotions, Titan FC, go there and make 2 and 2 or 3 and 3 if you're the champion. You know what I mean? Or come to the UFC, make 12 and 12, and be the first fight on the card, and none of the fans, even us as hardcore fans, barely know who you are. I'm not bashing them. Those are the guys that I love. Those are my favorite fights, because those guys are fighting for their contracts. They're not trying to win a decision. Those guys are going out there to beat the shit out of each other. And when they do win, like Terrence McKinney, who made 12 and 12 and made $24,000 to show this week, Dana White gave $50,000 to. That dude just changed his life. You know what I mean? Like that's life changing. That dude, it's crazy to me. These guys are it's just people they need something to talk about online. It's always negative.
So one last question. I see, but this is all based on what I see in social media. So people are like, oh, all these boxing stars are making fucking so much money, but then isn't it the undercard boxers that are making like nothing? Am I correct?
Because boxers, like hell yeah, like Bud Crawford and Lomachenko, those guys would go in there and get $5 million guaranteed, 100%, fighting on a Thursday night, doesn't matter, and you don't even know who the fuck the co-main event is. You know what I mean? Like you go to some of these fights, like Mayweather, when Mayweather was fighting and shit, dude. There's like, I mean, you know how the UFC is, right? Like when the first fight starts, the arena's only like half full or whatever. But by the time you're like on the third fight of the night, the arena's already going crazy and it's like they're real fans. And a Mayweather fight with all these celebrities and shit, they're showing up as the co-main event is ending. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like they're there for one reason and one reason only. And there are guys in the bottom of the card are making $1,000, $500. And then, you know, Ryan Garcia is going out there and beating a tomato can and making $10 million. And he's there show boy because he's got 10 million followers on Instagram, and I love him, by the way. I'm not bashing him. I'm saying good for fucking him. Go get that money. He's super young, absolute superstar, sponsored by Gymshark and Gatorade and everything, you know? So go get that fucking money, young boy. But
wait, so let me get this straight. Are you telling people that they need to work for their money?
I love that meme Gordon Ryan posted. It was like how to make money, and it just says work, and then it's like grown man hysterical crying.
Yeah, I can't wait till he comes back, man. Did you see he made a post? He's like, I got big news coming soon.
Yeah, so what happened was on Rogan's podcast, he was talking a lot about all the stomach issues that he's been dealing with, and I've known about it for a while. I'm sure you have too. He's got and he didn't even really know what it was called. Doctors couldn't properly diagnose it, but basically he was eating and he couldn't hold down food. He could hold down food, but he would eat a small breakfast and just be completely stuffed all day, nauseous, like that feeling where you eat 5 hot dogs and you just want to fucking drop dead. He eats a bowl of oatmeal and feels that way. So he was competing, you know, he got up as high as like, you know, 215, 220. He looked like a beast on steroids, which he'll happily tell you, but he couldn't get past that. Now he's been being able, like they've somewhat diagnosed his stomach issue. And from that, he's already like 230 pounds. You've seen the pictures he's been posting, dude. He's fucking humongous. I saw you smile and I knew Matt was back. He's humongous. He looks in incredible shape. I think they got his stomach issue under control. He's eating more food, and I think Galvao is in trouble come ADCC 2022.
I came in at a good time.
Yeah. No, Matt, you actually just came in at the like after we were talking about fighter pay because it was a great conversation. Chris was laying the fucking hammer down. It was great.
I love it.
You have any input on fighter pay and all these, you know?
Well, I don't want to reiterate what you guys just talked about because I was gone for a half hour because I don't know what Chris said.
Give me a fucking nutshell review. What do you think about it?
I mean, I don't know, to be honest. I haven't really ever thought about it. I just look at it at face value, like, you're given an opportunity to be fighting for a premier promotion like the UFC, or you could go chase money and potentially get paid more in Bellator. Like, you know, like there's certain guys that in the UFC would make more money in Bellator, but if you're like a bottom of the barrel Bellator fighter, you don't really make anything. So I get it from that perspective, but like it's the UFC. You're part of a brand. That brand gives you exposure, and what you do with that exposure, like, you know, you turn that into other sponsorships. There's example after example of UFC fighters that are making it big, not just based off of their UFC pay. And the fact that like Paulo Costa is not going to fight, like, dude, like Dana said, your last fight, you looked like shit. You got to earn it. You don't just get paid because you like break into the top 15. That doesn't like automatically make you Conor McGregor, right? You got to fucking earn it. And if you're a champion or you're top 5, top 3, you're fighting for the belt, you're having title eliminator fights, you're going to be making a pretty fucking good living. But the comparison across from sports where I understand where they're getting mad is that guys like Jake Paul and whoever the fuck are, they're making all this money. It's because they're taking their clout from a completely unrelated industry into the UFC, you get a bunch of people that are willing to watch it. So whose fault is it really? It's not their fault. Like, I would do the same exact shit until people stop supporting it and realize it's a fucking joke and a mockery to boxing. You can't really turn around and then say, hey, Dana White, pay these guys more, because those guys, even though they're the actual killers, they're the actual talent that do this for a living. And if they don't, they're not going to fucking eat. They don't have that same following. They don't have that same draw that Jake Paul does for some unfortunate reason. I guess people like, YouTube stars instead of guys that are actually like legitimate badasses. But I don't know, man.
Malignaggi said?
What?
He basically said, he's like, we must live in the, Paul Malignaggi's a fucking asshole. Everyone in the MMA world hates him because of the whole Conor McGregor thing. I was actually a huge Paulie Malignaggi fan when he was still boxing. He's actually pretty well spoken. He's a good commentator. Anyway, he's saying that we live in the dumbest generation ever, because just because you have a big following on YouTube or a big following on TikTok and now you want to box each other, he's like, the biggest assholes are the people that watch that shit. Like, you know what I mean? These guys aren't boxers. And he's like, and you know what's going to happen? He's like, good for them. Go get that money. I'm not mad at them for that. But one of them is going to get really hurt. And then, or what's happening with Jake Paul is, one of these TikTokers is going to win 2-3 fights in a row and get called out by a big boxer and accept the fight because he's, living off the cloud. He's going to get severely hurt, and this is going to disappear. So we'll see. Similar to what Michael Venom Page said, he thinks Woodley's going to starch Jake Paul and right the world, but we'll see about that one.
Yeah. Guys, we've been almost at it for almost an hour. Any thoughts before we close out here? I don't want to drag this too long.
I got nothing else.
Marlon Vera is a fucking badass.
We talked about him for 5 minutes.
We talked about him too.
Such a badass, dude. Like, he was such a Marlon Vera fight too. Started off slow, feeling out process, and he just beat his ass.
Like he always does.
Always does.
Dude. Also, Nick Diaz, they said is targeting September return, but it might be a boxing match. Speaking of boxing, I just thought.
Yeah, I saw that.
I didn't actually know that. Okay.
Fuck it, dude. Go get paid, man.
Yeah, I just don't want to see him get hurt. He seems like I feel like it's gonna be one of those things where, like, when Chuck came back to fight Tito and Chuck was just like, holy shit, dude, this guy should not be fighting. I feel like Nick Diaz at this point, man, he's just gonna be slow and a punching bag, and I don't know. I mean, like, that's his brother too, Nate. At this point, we just saw him be a punching bag for 24 and a half minutes and then almost win the fight. So what the fuck do I know?
OSP just said he's down to fight at heavyweight, but not gonna fight Francis Ngannou because the way he said he threw him in the gym like a bitch. He's like, I see where the line was drawn.
Yep. Hey, props to him, man. He knows he's at the end of his rope too. He just wants a few more paychecks, and I'm sure he's getting paid well at this point in his career.
Oh yeah, dude. Like,
hell yeah.
You again, sorry not to keep going on fighter pay, but one thing that I saw that was astonishing, I think this was last year, Brian Kelleher, who none of our friends know, casual fans have no clue who he is. He's not. I really like Brian Kelleher. I want to preface it with that. He's not top tier fighter. He's definitely good, hovering around the top 20, 25 in the division. He made like over $500,000 in 2020. He's like talking about his accountant online, saying all this stuff. Like, dude, all he did was be active. Just took fights when they offered it to him, had good performances, won a couple fights, got one fight of the night, lost a couple fights, but because he finished his contract, got the next contract, he made like $500,000. He's making what fucking, senior vice presidents of big banks are making, and he's fist fighting the cage with missing teeth, with tattoos on his hands and his face. And I love it. I got tattoos all over the place, so I'm not mad at him. You know what I mean? I think that's awesome. So these people complaining about fighter pay are fucking Twitter finger idiots who work at the gas station.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to tweet that. I'm going to be like, all you Twitter finger idiots who work at a gas station who bitch about fighter pay, check out this episode 71 now. I'm doing it. Because fuck them, man. I scroll through Twitter, man, and I get more heated than I do when I play video games. Then, whatever daily shit we go through that pisses us off, man. Twitter gets me riled up, man.
MMA, Twitter, this whole thing. Like, I remember someone tweeted at me one time when I started doing the MMA gossip shit, or before we even started MMA gossip, and was like, at this account is not part of MMA Twitter. They always tweet this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, bro, you just made me so happy because I couldn't want to be part of MMA Twitter any less.
Any less.
You know what I mean? There's some fucking weirdos out there, dude.
Yeah.
Especially now that MMA Twitter kind of turned into, or also going to be very political Twitter.
Yeah, stop telling me to wear a fucking mask and get a vaccine, you fucking assholes. Stop.
Dude, I'm so done. Yo, did you see this shit, Mike? This should be good. You're living down the shore now.
What
So
happened?
look at this shit. I'm gonna pull it up on the screen so all of our liberal listeners can get very offended. Yo, like if somebody knocked on my door
I saw that.
and did this, I would literally just kill them. Can you read that? It's backwards. Want me to just read it?
Holy shit. Yeah, that's got to be bullshit. That's bullshit.
Bro, like that's some like communist shit.
Matt, say it out loud so that the listeners can hear because they can't see.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to say who posted it because then people automatically generate an opinion, and I want everyone to hear this with an open mind. New Jersey COVID-19 corpse. I didn't even know we had a corpse like that.
Core or corpse?
Corpse.
Core.
It's with a P.
Pronounced core, Matt.
Right.
Now we look like idiots.
The Marine Corps.
I thought that was spelled with an E at the end. Anyway, now I don't even deserve to read this. New Jersey COVID-19 Corps to knock on doors of the unvaccinated at the Jersey Shore this weekend. Like, if that doesn't sound fucked up to you, like that's what they do in China. But in China, if you say no, they shoot you and put your head in the middle of the street. Like, fucking, I don't know, man. We're in a wacky fucking world.
When you guys eventually come down here, every other house in my entire Union Beach area has the blue flag on their fucking door. The blue stripe American flag. It's fucking awesome. I love it here.
The blue.
Dude, you're fucking lucky. I'm
anyway,
so happy.
Talk about how MMA Twitter is politicized, and we don't get politicized. We just went on a political tangent. So
hey, you guys like that picture I sent you this morning at like 5:30?
That was awesome.
I won't tell the listeners what that was about, but I have a feeling they know.
NFL. I'm reading because I was trying to find other salaries. But anyway, MMA Gossip, episode number 71. Shout out to all of our new subscribers. We appreciate you guys. Whether we met you at the bar, you found us online, you're all from MMA Twitter. We respect to you for sticking around. Shout out to all the boys for following us. Like, comment, subscribe, help the boys out. We really appreciate it. All platforms, 71. Boom.
All right, see y'all next week.